Hello YouTube, PSPHaCkErAOD here, and today I'm going to be continuing on part 2 of how to change all the lights in your gauges and everywhere else in your car to whatever color you want. I'm using a 2008 Dodge Ram and I'm changing all my bulbs from green to blue. Alright, so the first thing we did on this part is we removed the window switch from the truck, which is held in by 4 screws, and then it's clipped into this piece that we unscrewed. And there's a couple tabs. You got to be really careful not to break them. I used little screwdrivers, stuck them under each tab and pulled it out. Then you're left with this piece which has 2 little pins in it that you got to be careful not to lose. And basically it has another couple clips that hold it together, and you can see the other piece sitting there right here. This piece is clipped in also, and you got to use the same method with little screwdrivers to be careful to separate it. And then once you have that apart, you can see the LED, which we're going to have to desolder from the board, and in order to get to it easier, we remove these little metal pins, which you can just basically pull back towards you and they come off. And then you have the leads exposed, and you can basically just heat it up and slide the bulb out, and then you can slide the new bulb into where the old solder was. Alright, so we're going to use a 470 ohm resistor attached to a 3mm LED on the positive leg, which is the longer one, to replace the stock one. Alright, so with the window switch apart, what we're going to do is take it back to the truck before we change out the bulb, and we're going to plug it in and turn on the headlight switch to see which one's positive and negative. So to get that, have the switch on, and you're going to take your LED that you just soldered the resistor onto, and you're going to touch the positive and the negative point where the old LED was, and it's only going to light up one way because the polarity does matter on this. Whatever way it lights up, remember that, because that's the way you're going to attach it. Make sure you test your bulb before you put it all back together, because it's a pain to disassemble this. We plugged it in just to see if it'd turn on and off when we hit the switch, which it does. So that was good. And now basically we go to put the housing back together, and you got to remember that the old LED sat a little bit shorter than the new one's gonna, but the new one, the bulb is smaller and it will be able to fit in this little pocket on the switch, so it's not going to interfere with it, and it won't really matter that it's sticking out longer than the original. Do a short little test to make sure everything worked out and before you reassemble it. The next bulb we're going to change is in our headlight switch, and there's basically 4 screws in the back of this to take out, and then you'll be able to open it up and see the stock bulb. Basically, this is the stock bulb we took off the board, and we tried to originally take a W LED and basically crimp it with a pair of pliers so that it would unglue and open up. That's what the original looks like, and then once it's open, you have the bottom piece here, and then you have the other piece, the leads exposed. We originally tried that, and either way we did it, it made the lights inside the truck flicker, so we ended up just using the same type of bulb and resistor we used on the window switch for the back, which was not as bright as we were hoping, but it works. The next thing we changed was these little digital lights that light up inside the gauges that say like how many miles you have and what gear the truck is. And this would seem to be a little bit harder than you think to change, but it's actually really simple. You take out the screws, and then this plastic cover is exposed, and what you need to do is heat it up with like a hair dryer or a heat gun to melt the glue around this black cover. It's like a sticker, and basically when that melts, you can peel it up and you can stick something under there, and I stuck screwdrivers under there to hold it in place, and then you're able to put this blue piece of like a tint under there, and it changes the colors from green to blue. We used 2 pieces of wax paper to help it slide in there and not get stuck by the melted glue, and then once it was in there, you just glue it back down by heating it up and cut off the excess. Alright, next we're going to change the digital lights in here, and we're going to change the 3 LED bulbs that are in there. And to do that, you're going to remove these dome light covers with a small screwdriver. Just going to kind of stick it in there and pry it, and then they'll pop off. You got to be careful not to break the little tabs. And then once you have both of them off, there's two screws up there, and you just take those out, and the screws are basically in the back part towards where the covers are, and then in the front by closer to the mirror there's two tabs, and once the screws are out you can just pull it down and it'll be there, and then you gotta disconnect the clips of the wires that are connected to it. Alright, so there's three 3mm neon B bulbs in this piece that lights up for like your garage door opener and whatever the other stuff is, and basically these are the stock bulbs. They're gonna unscrew and you're gonna put in the new bulbs, which we got from superbrightleds.com, like we did for all of our bulbs. They have great prices and every bulb you could imagine. This piece basically we unscrewed from the other piece we took down a minute ago. There were basically four screws holding this in place, and then there's this cover over the digital screen on this that you gotta pull up with like a screwdriver carefully, and basically once it's up like so, you'll see the screen exposed, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a piece of that blue tint we used earlier, and I'll write what it is in the description. You're gonna take a piece of that, and basically you're just gonna cut it to the right size, and you're gonna take some clear tape and you're gonna tape it in place on there. You're gonna put the tape where you obviously won't see it because no light's gonna travel through the corners, so you're gonna put it there. Now with that tint in place, you can see it lights up blue instead of green like it originally did, and we got all our blue bulbs in for the other things. Kinda hard to see them during the day. Alright, and now basically I'm just going to show that all the bulbs are blue. In part 1 I showed you how to change the regular bulbs behind the gauges and everything. So watch part 1 if you want to know that. And also, my truck's not 4-wheel drive sadly, but for those of you who have it, basically it's the same bulb replacement you do for the headlight switch you're going to do to the 4-wheel drive switch. Of course I got my new camera right after I finished this project, so here's a little preview of what my videos are going to look like from now on.